All right. So from 425, number 2, you should have divided into 8 equal groups, and you should have circled 7 of those groups to figure out it's 14. Questions on that? Okay. Number 3 was an interesting one. You should have had 10 chips, right? In 10 equal groups, which means there was 1 per group, right? So you had to separate them all out and circle 6 of them for 6. Okay? I noticed when some of you were doing that on whatever day we were here, Friday, right? You looked at it and you kind of went, huh? I heard some of that. Huh? Okay? When I walked around, most of you were separating them out, okay? And you circled 6 of them. All right. Number 4, 3 equal groups. So then groups of 3, right? Circled 2 of them, and that would be 6. Okay? Number 5, 6 equal groups, which puts 3 in a group, right? And you need 1 group of 3, which is 3. Okay? And number 6, 5 equal groups, which puts 2 in a group. And while we're checking our pictures, and you needed 4 of those groups, which gives us 8. Any questions on any of those? Number 7 then, 4 equal groups, which puts 5 in a group. You needed 3 of those groups, which gives you 15. It was a story problem. Your label should be pictures. Number 8, there were 10 marbles. We wanted half of them, so 2 equal groups. That puts 5 in each group. We wanted 1 of those groups, so it'd be 5 marbles. Questions? Number 9, 4 equal groups. That puts 5 in a group. You would have circled 3 of those groups to find 15. Your explanation should have said something about, because the denominator was 4, I needed 4 equal groups. The numerator was 3, so I knew I needed 3 of those groups. 3 groups of 5 is 15. They should have had some kind of explanation like that. Question? All right. On 426, they already put them in 3 equal groups by columns. You wanted 1 of those, so you would have circled 1 column, giving you 5. Number 2, they put them in 4 equal groups by columns. You wanted 2 of those, so your final answer would have been 8. Number 3, the value of the underlying digit is 6,000. 6,000. Number 4, we want to know how many 6 fluid ounce servings can be made. We're breaking it down into smaller groups. So you would divide to find there are 23 servings. 23 servings. Number 5, we're cutting 3 pieces. The word cutting or cut, the fact that we want to know how many each are, right? We know how many each are, would tell us also we want to divide. You would get 3 7/8 feet. 3 7/8 feet. Okay? And number 6, about would tell us it's an estimate. 4 1/4 hours. 3 5/8 hours. It would be 4 1/4 is close to 4 1/2. 4 5/8, or 3 5/8 is close to 4. So you might have an estimate of 8 1/2. Or you might say that, no, what did I say? 3 5/8? 3 5/8 is close to 3 1/2. I'm sorry. So you might say 4 1/2 plus 3 1/2 is 8 hours. Yes? No? Questions? So about 8 hours. Questions on any of that? All right. That can be put away. Assessment topics for tomorrow. Adding and subtracting fractions and mixed numbers. I feel like we have done a lot of that over the last few weeks. Modeling, multiplying of fractions. I'll do a couple examples of that. Compare mixed numbers and decimals. We've been doing quite a bit of that. Multiplying decimals. We've been doing quite a bit of that. The one I think we probably haven't done a lot of recently is multiplying or modeling multiplying a fraction. So let me do an example of that up here to refresh your memory of that. But we've done a few of those recently. Like we did half of 3/4. What do we have to have there first? If I want half of 3/4, what do I have to have there first? No, what do I have to have there first? The 3/4. If I want half of 3/4, I need to have the 3/4 there first. Right? If I want half of the pizza, I gotta have the pizza there first. Remember that? Then how do I show half of that? How do I show half of that? Right? Yes? No? So that's how many pieces out of the whole thing? How many? 3/8. But that's modeling it. Does that make sense? Okay. So how would I show 1/4 of 2/5? How would I show that? How do I show 2/5?
Four lines, 8 and 2, and then put a line down into the four lines, and then a shade and 2.
Draw 4. If I draw 4, that would give us 5ths. 3. Okay. What fraction of the whole thing are we talking about then? 2/20. Okay. Does that make sense? You remember doing this early in the year?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you understand how to do it now? Zach? We got the opportunity to sleep in this morning, so wake it up and pay attention, please. Eduardo? Because this is 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. So we shaded in one of the sections. Does that make sense? Okay. But when we look at the whole picture, it was 1, 2 out of all 20. Okay. Does that help you? How would we show that one? Really? Put the pencil down and pay attention. How would we show that one? All I've done is show thirds. Okay.
And put a line through the middle.
Put a line through the middle.
Put 3 lines through the middle.
3.
2 lines through the middle.
Tell me why you're telling me 3 lines. Tell me why you're telling me 2 lines. Okay. And then what do we do? Okay. And what is my final answer then? Final answer, Eduardo? 2 what? 2 out of how many in the whole rectangle now?
9.
How many are in the whole rectangle?
9.
9.
No. Oh my God.
Okay? All right? That makes sense? Questions on these? All right. Let's take a look then at our problem solving for this week, which is empty cells. 1, 2, 3.
I've never heard of that. Yes. More like paper. Paper what? This is numbers. Paper what? What's the number of the Thing is, 7 on here makes no sense. It makes no sense that 7 and 9 are together. If the number 7 and 9 it makes more sense. Oh yeah. It makes sense that the number 7 and 9. Okay. Oh, I get it. So this is called empty cells. It's the number 7 and 9.
All right.
I get it. It's the number 7 and 9.
How do I turn it right side up? What?
Oh, I get those 3 dots.
I did, and it didn't do what I wanted it to
I
do.
know the answer to this.
All right. We'll just read it upside down for now.
If 7 and 9 are on the paper.
You can see it right side up. I can read it upside down. All right. We're going to use the outside numbers in each row to figure out the middle number. Okay? All the middle numbers are found using the same rule. The same rule. All right? So if we make a table. Okay? And this is the right. This is the left. And this is the middle. This is row 1, 2, 3, and 4. In row 1, what's on the right? Row 2, what's on the right? 15. Row 3? 24. And row 4? 24. In row 1, what's on the left? 4. Row 2? 10. Row 3? 16. And row 4? 8. Row 1, what's in the middle? 2. Row 2? 5. Row 3? 8. Row 4? 16. All right, so if we look from row 1, right, left, middle, row 3, right, left, middle, row 4, right, left, middle. We're looking for a rule that would work for all 3 of those that would help us determine what that would be. Maya. Do what? So can you say anything in terms of right and left? Like their position, where they came from? Pardon?
Subtract the left ones and the right ones.
She's saying this would be our rule, that we would subtract the left number from the right number to equal the middle number. All right, let's see if that would work. 4 from 6, is it equal to 2?
Yeah.
16 from 24, is that equal to 8?
Yeah.
8 from 24, is that equal to 16?
Yeah.
So 10 from 5 would equal, or 10 from 15 would equal 5. So we know that would have to be 5 then. So in your table you would put a 5. All right? Now if we look at the blanks down below, on your paper, number 1, it says what number belongs in the empty cell. You would put a 5 in there. Write a rule for finding the middle number. The rule is subtract the left number from the right number to equal the middle number. That's the rule you would write. So for the ones that you are doing on your own that are due on Friday, I want to see a table set up. And I want to see your rule written out in a sentence form as well as your solution. Does that make sense? Questions? Anybody? All right. Let's move on then and take a look at your I learned. And for the life of me, I don't know how many got turned right side up, but you don't know about that. Hopefully this is right side up. All right, as we take a look at this one, remember, you need to be circling important numbers, underlining questions, boxing operation words, things that will help you focus on what you need. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. In part A, they want to put a fence around the rectangular plot of land and through the land to separate their plots. And you'll see that in the diagram, they're separating it by that dotted line. All right? Questions on that? Okay. Please show your work in this section right here. Label your numbers, like what the numbers represent. Is it the number of apples they're feeding their horses? What is it? Okay. Put your final answer in the answer blank. All right. What is the area? I want you to look up formulas based on the shape, and I want you to use the formula based on the shape. Okay? That makes sense? Use a formula based on the shape. So you have to look up some formulas. Ezra.
Question. What is the, like, is the 100 feet the area or like?
The 100 feet is the length from this corner to this corner.
Oh.
Okay? All right?
Okay.
All right, so did you make note of, use a formula? In part B, use a formula. I want to see the formula you're using. Did you write that down? Yes.
What is the formula?
Good with that? Got it? Okay. Part C. Now you're going to start back with that same rectangle. Okay. And using that same rectangle, what is the length of that rectangle? What is the length of that rectangle? 80 feet?
Yeah.
I say, I was going to ask you where the 60 feet came from, but. What is the width of that rectangle? The width of that rectangle. Eduardo? Everybody agree on that? All right, that's what you're starting with again. The size of the original pasture does not change. Does everybody understand that? Somebody didn't come along and buy part of it all. That's what they have to share. Okay? You're going to draw within this picture a different way that they can split the plot of land into two halves so that they use less fence. We're not sharing our answers. You are going to do that on your own. Does that make sense? Okay? Based on your picture then, how much less fencing in feet is used? Show all your work here. There are different ways to show your work here. Does that make sense? Okay? So they want to be able to use less fence than the original. All right? Okay? Show your work there and put your answer here. Again, label your numbers so I know where you're coming from. That makes sense? I shouldn't just see a bunch of arithmetic there, and I'm supposed to understand what those numbers represent. This also is due on Friday. Now, in case bad weather comes in again, then it's due the next day we come to school type thing. Does that make sense? Okay? All right, now, I would like for you to get started on this, and this is the one I want you to spend your class time on and turn it in this first time. Does that make sense? Okay? So that you can at least get some feedback on it to get started. Does that make sense? My plan is, though, that because it might take you a little longer, I'm hoping it doesn't. Depends on how well you understand it. My plan is, though, that depending on how the week goes, if we keep having 2-hour delays, our classes get shortened. Okay? My plan is this should be like a 2-day, whip it out, turn it in, be done. That depends on how well you understand it. So, with the time that we have left, concentrate only on it, and let me get it graded for you tonight so that you can be fixing it if you need to. Does that make sense? And put the other off to the side, and you can take it home and work on it. Does that make sense? Okay? Are you hearing me? So concentrate on it so I can give you feedback on it tomorrow, because otherwise it looks like we're here tomorrow. But tomorrow is Wednesday, and we're short on class period again tomorrow. So I'm trying to get the timing in here for you. Does that make sense? All right, so concentrate on that paper right now. What don't you understand? Have you boxed words, circled anything, done any of that? Okay? So start with that, and see if that helps you. Okay? Lane and Peyton, quit focusing on each other and focus on the work at hand. Make sure you're boxing and circling important information, because some of you are missing the important information. Yes. What are you doing? What are you doing? Huh? For what reason? For more good stuff done? What are you out here? Make sure your name's on your paper, Phil.